everybody. For many tweens and teens, going back to school means seeing friends again, right? Obviously. Possibly spending even more time, though, in front of your computers, your cell phones, your tablets.
Yep, and it may be hard for parents to understand it all. So that's where our next guest comes in. She is the co-author of Behind Their Screens, What Teens Are Facing and Adults Are Missing. So good morning, Emily. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So let's get right into it because there is a heck of a lot of screens around there, right? You throw it in there sometimes to kind of keep them quiet. So first off, explain the research that kind of went into this book. What made you want to write it?
My co-author, Carrie, James, and I have been doing research about teens and screens for over a decade, and we recently had an amazing opportunity to collect insights from more than 3,500 teenagers about how they navigate the digital world and what they most wish adults understood.
Because it's more than just looking at TikTok, right? And the latest YouTube video, all that screen time your teen spends on their phone, it's beyond just entertainment. It's their connection with their friends, right? It's really important that parents understand that.
It really is. And teens told us that there are things that are good that their parents are missing, and there are things that are really hard and a lot of pressures they're facing and navigating that because their parents don't always understand or know what they're up against, we're missing these opportunities to provide them support that they really need.
So, adults, I guess, are, they're more tuned into what's happening on those screens. Like cyberbullying is a big thing, but there are all sorts of mean teen behavior that parents should be more aware of, right? When I was a teenager, it was just really starting out in terms of what was playing out on social media. So explain some of this.
Adults talk a lot about cyberbullying, but many, maybe even most of the hurtful behaviors that teens experience are actually much more subtle and ambiguous. They told us about things like seeing Venmo exchanges between friends and realizing that it means that all of your friends went out for pizza without you. Or seeing on Snap Maps that your friends' little avatars are together in one place and knowing that you were suddenly left out.
Yeah, it's funny because I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they already have group chats. And then when they notice that everybody's been talking about some conversation they had earlier and they're not included, they're like, wow, I was left out. So can we talk about specific examples, like how that affects kids when they are left off that group chain?
Absolutely. Imagine the school lunchroom from when you were young, where just by looking around the room, you could tell who's in what social circle, who's being left out. For today's teens, their phones and these group chats are like that. It's this kind of on-screen lunchroom that's always there, and there's tons of social information that's constantly signaling social standing and who's in and who's out, and it can change really fast with major implications for offline life.
Well, yeah, and also, it used to be that if you were making fun of somebody, it would just be done in person. Now you can be called out in a comment, right? In a comment section of a tweet or an Instagram post, a group chat. So how do you deal with that? How do you, as a parent, find it?
Teens told us that parents won't always find it, which is one of the reasons why actually talking to them and asking them what they're facing and how they're feeling about it is so important. They also told us that if you don't know the context of the relationships and whatever is happening at school, a comment that seems really nice at face value could actually be really mean and really hurtful. And an adult who doesn't have the context will totally misunderstand what's going on.
Yeah, it's so much harder now, too, because there hasn't been a lot of in-person interaction, too, right? I mean, like with the pandemic, most of the kids are only communicating on social media and on their screens. So it's really hard to stop them from doing that. And sometimes parents don't understand, okay, that's too much screen time, but maybe that's the only way that they can keep in touch, right?
And thank goodness we had this technology during the pandemic. I mean, I think it played such an important role, and we know that it is really important. And for teens and tweens, friendships developmentally play such an important role, and a lot of what they're doing on their screens is really important for that. It's supporting the development of offline friendships, but there's hard stuff too, and they really need us to step up and offer better supports around the stuff that's tricky.
Yeah.
So activism is becoming more important, right, for teens, and they're using the devices to actually utilize that. So what's the good and bad of what you're calling social activism?
Teens are very aware that while their parents might say either stand up for what you believe in or make sure you stay out of politics on the internet, their real life experiences just aren't so simple. They don't want to look like they're being performative and just saying something to add to the news cycle of the day, but they also describe how their peers are watching and monitoring who is staying silent about every issue, and it can have real consequences for them. We heard from teens about friendships ending over what is or isn't said by teens on social media about different civic issues.
But when do we actually step in as parents? When is it too much? And sometimes kids just jump on a bandwagon and start saying things because everybody else is. So when should we step in and say, well, you know what, maybe we do need to cut this off for a little bit?
I think the most important question and what we really came away from this research with was we absolutely should step in. Where we need a pivot is how. Teens told us again and again that they really wished their parents would talk to them and really listen to understand what is so important for them on their screens and why it's so complicated for them to make these decisions. They told us that parents often default to these assumptions and to these really simplistic rules and consequences that are just really overlooking so much of what they're actually experiencing. We need to open the channels of communication with our kids, but also table the judgments and assumptions we have and empathize with how hard this is.
Yeah, Emily, we've run out of time, but I do want to ask you one quick question because we were talking about digital detox for younger kids. Is it too old? I mean, are they too old to do this too, like to teens? Are we beyond doing digital detox?
I don't think so, but especially with older teens, it becomes much more important that we have their buy-in. And one of the things that we talk about is getting creative about a detox. So a detox might not mean going off of every app and all of your group chats at the same time, but actually maybe you just take a break from one specific app that's kind of stressing you out. And if you can get your teens buy-in to do this, they have told us that they want to feel more in control of their habits and they really welcome this.
All right. Emily Weinstein, thank you. There's such a different world, my gosh, for parents to navigate. You know, the Snapchat world and the TikTok, whatever, and the
Instagram.
What do you call it? The Snap Max.
Snaps.
I mean, things I'm learning about that now that I have a daughter, I guess
I
when
thought
she
this was
and then when she gets to old enough to use screens, it's gonna be a different world. All right, thank you, Emily. Her book Behind the Screens is out now. There it is. Good information there, Emily Weinstein. Thank you.
Great advice.